Hi, welcome to my 5th video in my QCS video diary series. I'm going to give you a roundup today of the 1,416 papers that I've marked and the lessons and knowledge that I've got out of them in terms of how to write an amazing exam answer. So, I'll jump straight in. The big mistakes that I saw a lot. First up, incomplete answers, where it's not that you haven't finished an answer, it's that the marker has to go and kind of fill in the gaps for themselves. The information hasn't been totally clarified or made totally clear about what the student is trying to convey. So make sure that the marker is not having to kind of read between the lines as to what it is that you're trying to get across. Point number 2, misreading the STEM, the introduction to the task, where it tells you what you need to be looking for, what it is that you need to focus on and concentrate in your answer. Likewise, another big mistake was ignoring the cue. So this is where it tells you exactly how to respond, whether it's presenting your information as a table or in a diagram, or it might say things like the example I had, where it says don't use words directly from the text. And if that gets ignored and words from the text are used, no marks for that answer. Another big mistake, and this is a little pet hate of mine as well, adding what I'd sort of call conversation to your writing, like this conversation to the marker, where you end up writing, or a student ends up writing what's going on in their head. So putting in an answer and then putting question mark, question mark, question mark afterwards, as if to say, oh, I think it's this, but who knows? Or they even write a little message to the marker saying, oh, I don't know, but I think it might be this. Well, let me tell you, that is never going to get you a mark. A series of question marks is never going to gain a mark. A nice little sentence to the marker is never going to get a mark. And if anything, it's going to bring your mark down. Now, of course, we have to stick to a very rigid mark scheme, but if this means that it shows you're uncertain about your answer and you're kind of on the borderline between a grade or a mark, it can then sway the marker to making them jump on the side of the fence that you don't want to be on that lower end of the scale. So don't do it. Also, another mistake, not putting best answers first. So for example, if there's a question or a section that needs you to put a series of suggestions, or maybe you might need to have different pieces of evidence to support an answer, be sure to put the best ones first. Because sometimes there might be a limit as to how many they can count in your answer, and this leads me on to a point I'm going to make in a moment as well. But if there's only 1 or 2 needed, well, the marker is going to only take the first 1 or 2 answers, sometimes only the first. And I had this as an example in the piece that I marked, where students often put more than one piece of evidence in, because it just said support with evidence, but we were only to take the first one. So if you have a variety or a series of things to put in, make sure your best bit goes at the top. Next, like I said, this is the little link from the last one. Any kind of ambiguity or that idea of hedging your bets. If it asks for one thing, or one word, or one suggestion, or one figure, or one statistic, you must stick to one. The best case scenario, if you put more than one in, is that you'll have the first one counted. And that's a reason to put your best one first. But the worst case is, and this does happen, is that if there's more than one answer or more than one suggestion given, it just gets marked as wrong because you haven't followed directions and you're kind of hedging your bets. And we can't go through and just pick out what the best one was. So make sure you follow instructions. If it asks you to put a specific number, it might not be 1, it might be 2, 3, etc. Stick to it. Don't add a couple more in just in case, because it will not pay off. On the flip side of things, the good stuff I saw, there was some really good editing where students have gone back and improved their work or added some inserts or changed a few things around. Let me tell you, markers always have to follow students' instructions. So if you've put in an arrow somewhere, then we will read that sentence into the section that you've put the arrow to. So if you want to add something in, put the little star, put the arrow, put the asterisk, and make it work to give you the best answer. We will follow your instructions, and I saw a lot of that. So to sum up, Give a full and complete answer. Don't make the marker have to guess anything about your answer. Make sure it is clear. Don't hedge your bets. Don't try and give a variety of answers in the hope that one of them might be right and that the marker is going to pick the one that you think is going to get the best mark. Next, identify all of the command words and the keywords in the stem and the Q in all parts of the question. Because otherwise you're going to end up potentially not responding at the right level or using the right information or resources or key points in your answer. Answer with conviction. Don't add a little conversation in the margin to the marker, and don't try to second guess or make some suggestion or add some question marks, because it just leaves doubt in the marker's mind as to whether you really know what you're doing. Lastly, put your best answer at the top if you ever have a series of things or a selection of things that you need to put in an answer. Put the best one at the top so that you can be sure that if there's a limit on how many we're allowed to count, those get included. Now, I hope that you've enjoyed this little video series and this video diary that I put together for you. I know that every time I do external exam marking, it is absolutely a revelation and a huge learning experience, an amazing experience for me, because I often find situations where I see a mark scheme or we get told a certain cutoff for things and I think, oh my goodness, that seems really harsh. I need to tell students about that. Or, oh, that's quite an easy way to get marks on the other hand. And they can just do this, and they get those marks. That's fantastic. I need to tell them that as well, which is why I'm sharing this with you now. Now, a lot of the information that I've come across, obviously I can't wrap up into a few minutes, but you can start to see that there's so much to exam technique and for us as exam markers, the marking of your papers. That's why in my 10-week Grade Transformation program, I have 3 modules dedicated just to things like exam technique. So if you want to find out more, go to the website rocksolidstudy.com.au and check out the program under the heading Services. If you would like your child to be able to know all of this and more and exactly how to tackle these things. For now, I'm Katie Price. This has been my final video in my QCS video diary. If you'd like to check out more posts on the blog, just go to gradetransformation.com.au/blog. And until next time, have a great week.